Hi, this is Jasmin Seed with the Prairie View A&M Small Business Development Center. We're back with Natalie Points Dexter. She's been sharing her journey from authentic inclusion to learning more about Scafina. We've heard the journey. We've heard how she's moved from Word doc to Notion. And today we are going to talk about how she has engaged Chat GPT and the benefits of that. So without any further discussion, I'm going to turn it over to Natalie and let's hear the rest of the story.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me again, Jasmine. I hope that the knowledge nuggets that have been dropped have been really, really helpful to other entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business owners. Um, and understanding AI was one of my moments of I don't want to be in the left behind group. I want to learn how to use it to better my business and myself. And so I have the paid subscription for it's just like I think the $20 a month subscription to Chat GPT. And so everything that I'm going to talk about is behind a paywall,
Okay.
just so that everyone understands when they log into like their free resource, right? It's not going to have the same experience. So commit if you want to invest that $20, I will say it's very worth it because you could do a few different things. The biggest thing that I think is super important is using the folders. So
Okay.
each folder you can create and train that folder to talk to you in a specific tone. So I have my client folder where I build their client content and I've said, hey, this is the type of language, the way that I need you to write is as an expert grant writer or procurement writer, technical writer. This is going to be in a format that is a narrative format. So I'm truly coaching that folder to talk how I need it to talk versus the one I built for Scafina, which I tell it, this is a to become B2B SaaS platform that does XYZ. And I go down this massive list of what it should do and why it should do what it does and how it's going to support its users and who its users are, versus the one that I have that's just for myself. And I tell it to talk to me like I'm a Black woman living in America because that's how I want the content to come to me, right? Because that's who I am. And so that is the first part is training your GPT. Now, on the other side of this, in your settings, you can also train chat as a whole. What you want it to do first, why you want it to do that first. Remember, technology is only as good as we train it to be.
That's for sure. Yes, yes, yes.
I will equate this to using a GPS, right? Like the GPS knows the streets. It does not know all the time that that street is closed because of construction.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually it does, but it's because someone told it over and over and over and over again. That street's closed because of construction. Stop sending me down there, right?
Yeah.
So consider that as the easiest. I won't say how old I am, but we remember the Tom-Toms of the GPS where they didn't get trained at all and they just kind of let us wreak havoc, on the roads to now where we have the Google Maps, so to speak. So,
Yes.
how I built Greta and her name, I named my AI tool that I built. She is your grant readiness advisor. She has a whole persona that I have built for Greta.
Love that. Yes. I mean, you're using good basic business principles and tools. They've not gone out of the window at all. And that's the other thing. I mean, I hate to jump in, but this is so important. You've not abandoned it. You've taken foundational principles and you have continued to use them, but fueled again by AI and things that are so important. You need a persona. This is great. Oh my gosh, keep going.
And that's, I think, people have said, you watch, Jim Carrey's, I think it was, and he talks about how he was this made up email, like it, but he said it was his assistant, right? And I think as solopreneurs, we all might have that admin at email address that we answer. Imagine chat is that. This is your admin tool. Um, I started with my most frequently asked questions.
Okay.
What are my top 5 frequently asked questions that I don't want to answer before we have a consulting call? I want people to know what they need to know before they come and have a consulting call with me, because answering something like uh difference between an RFP and an RFQ, I'm not answering that in a consulting call. That's a waste of my time. It's a waste of your time, right? Go to Greta.
Yeah.
Greta's got you. She's got the answers for you. But what I also tell everyone is that I told Greta how to behave.
Okay.
So Greta is not a research tool. Greta is a grant readiness advisor. So what do I need to do before I get ready to write a grant? What content do I need before I write a grant? How do I
Yeah.
know I should get this grant? Right? How do I know? Right? So the questions, and again, when you go to ChatGPT, you can go to write if you're looking at this on your left-hand side, there's search chats, right? There's new chat, and then there's the chat store. And in there, there's all types of different GPTs that people have built, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you can build one for free. You,
Amazing. I mean, where, right? Like in my day, you had to pay for development. Time, scope, and then implementation. So this is like, I don't think many people are using it to the full extent that they can. So this is a wonderful kind of like a aha moment for people listening about how much this can really shift the business. So did you find that there were GPTs that you could model, or you kind of looked at them, or you had to just do your own from the very start?
I just did my own.
Okay.
But that's just how I roll. Like that's my jam. That's where I'm like, I don't want to copycat someone, right? Because I don't know how they told theirs to work.
Yeah. Important. That's
I,
right.
wa- yeah, I
Very
want,
important.
so I think of this as like, and I will also say, as experts, before we became business owners, we compiled years of data. And I say data, not ones and zeros, not the dashes and dots. Well, it's more Morse code, but still, you know where I'm going with that one, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not the ones and zeros data. It's I wrote this for a client. I built this for a role, because we usually leave our business, our job positions to become these entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
We keep a lot of that data that we made, those presentations, those excerpts, those whatever it might be, spreadsheets. That is your data. That is your expertise. So
Yes.
that's what
It
I
is.
mean by data. And what I took and put into Greta is, here's everything you need to know in my language, because I'm the expert. I don't want her getting wild and answering as the ethos grant expert. I want her to answer in how I know I'm the expert and have won this money. So I'm like, you're going to use what I wrote to do this.
Greta's not getting out of hand. That's it. Greta's got boundaries.
Because,
Yes.
I want to make sure she also understands when the robots take over that I'm a friend, you know. iRobot might be real, y'all. Okay. But I'm just
Oh,
kidding. I'm just kidding.
no, no, no. I
That's
know.
another
I
podcast.
understand.
But but that's really what it is that I knew, okay, I already wrote out what the frequently asked question was. I wrote the response, and I wrote who it was for. I uploaded that into the back end.
Okay.
Uploaded this content into the back end, and I said, Greta, when you talk to any user, I want you to understand that they are brand new to this. Do not talk to them like an expert. We're the expert. So you need to talk to them in language they can comprehend. Also, I wrote in prompts. So, hey, after they've used this, and this is just me typing, this is not special code or anything like that. Of course you can. Of course you can. So if you do have that skill, use it. But if not, this is literally just sentences of me saying,
Okay.
Greta, after someone has used this 5 times, so after you've hit go 5 times, the response at the bottom is going to say, hey, we've noticed you've been using Greta for a little while. Have you gone to have you gone to scafina.com to check out other ways to engage? Now, granted, if they engage, that's up to them, but I've built that in there and all I did was put a link in.
Mm-hmm,
Next
mm-hmm.
thing, I'm like, okay, Greta, after they've used it 10 times, now we want to tell them this is the next tool they should use. And of course, it's behind a paywall, right? So this is another way, even though this is a free model, I'm still pushing them back to my website and I'm still pushing them back to my paid resources.
Okay, very good. I mean, did you, I mean, it sounds like it's your content. You really do need to know your processes. You need to have a little bit of an understanding. After a certain point, they need to be in a different area or a different type of focus. So if you don't have that, it might be a little bit different, but you did have enough experience and interrelationships with clients to sort of to know. You fed that in so that chat had an orientation. So you didn't have to necessarily build it based on the history. You gave it the history, but then you prompted it to know how to use the history appropriately for client or potential client inquiry. And you just took some time just to put in the prompts, just basically how anybody else would do it. So no real training, but you started somewhere. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah?
Yes, no real training. And I think the best part about this is that as soon as you hit configure, it's live. It
Okay.
happens. It's
Wow.
ready. So it's not like it has to sit there and compute and all of these things. Like it's just like, okay, go. And so then you use your own chat GPT and you start asking it questions
Oh,
and
okay.
you start looking at the content and
Yes.
I think of it like this of if you're a business owner who is trying to figure out how to implement chat GPT into your space, it really is, and this is how I use Greta, is what is the thing that you don't want people asking you over and over and over again? That's it. That's genuinely it.
And honestly, it sounds like to me you're also looking at ways to help them save money. Like at your billable hour rate, these are things that you don't want to have to pay for. I can give those to you, right? And so we get into a little bit more meat, a little bit more detail so that you're balancing that budget for really critical content that's going to, give you those edges, right? Not stuff that you could probably search on Google, right? So I love how you've sort of bifurcated the value of the data that you can provide and for what people can afford. I think that's brilliant. I really do. Yeah, it's good.
It's been super great too, because I've had other people who aren't familiar with it tell me, oh, what is this thing you built? Right. And I remember one person who said, I'm doing this. And I was like, oh, do you have a background in grant acquisition? She's like, oh, no, it's just now part of my job. I'm like, noted. Another hat that you wear. Got it.
Mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
And so she said, oh, I used ChatGPT and it took me about 5 different times to get to the point where you did it in two. Your
Okay.
tool did it in two, right? Because again, when you write to ChatGPT, it's just pulling from content anywhere it can find.
Yes.
Greta is pulling from content I've written and I've said, hey, pull from this first. The way you pull the content, the way you pull the information, then go into the World Wide Web. And I even have roadblocks where if people are asking for Greta to search for grants, there's a prompt that comes up and it's like, just so you know, that's not what we do here.
Great. Yes.
Because that's a very specific thing, right?
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
so there's ways that as the audience that are thinking about integrating ChatGPT into your process, you know how you want it to respond to you, right? When you have your client work that you're doing, but how would you want that to now be translated? And that's where a lot of experts, and I'm navigating this right now, is I know my product. I know grants, I know procurement. I could nerd out. We could have 3-hour podcast. And people would be like, this is so boring. And I'm like, and let me tell you the next thing, Jasmine,
Yeah.
this is really cool. Everybody's like zoned out by then. But
Oh,
we all have that thing that gets us so excited that we can just nerd out on constantly. And when you read something from someone who is not the expert, you're like, did ChatGPT write this for you? Without any training, right? And so that's, again, just another way to wrap your mind around what can ChatGPT do for my business that I can make my own. You can
yes,
name it.
yes.
You can give it its own, you can give it its own picture. You can put it into the ChatGPT store, or you can keep it private. But don't, and this is my nugget, because I know you're going to ask me later of like, what would I leave folks with? But, and I know we're getting close to time. This is the thing that makes me excited is like, um, AI can't replace you because you are the expert. You have this expertise. It has to learn from someone in order to become a faux expert. So remember, you are the expert making it do the things you need it to,
And who better to learn from than you?
right?
Okay, wow. You know, I want to be able to make sure that if people have questions or they're interested in Scafina and Greta, that they can get to you. So we'll get that information out and leave that on the podcast and in the leave behind so that people can connect. But thank you so much for coming back, third time and giving us more insight about chat beyond just the marketing aspect for small businesses and really talking about how you can operationalize processes and content and how important that is. So thank you so much. We look forward to keeping up with you and learning more about Scafina and all that you have to offer for those looking for funding and for procurement help. So nonprofit as well as for-profit opportunities for businesses. So thank you, Natalie Points Dexter, very much.
Thank you for having me, Jasmine. I really appreciate it. Seriously.
All right. Okay. We'll be in touch. Bye now.
Take care, y'all.